There you go.
Got it?
Yep. Groundswell
Okay.
sponsors.
So this is what we'll have sharing. I'm going to just have this screen is up now. And we'll have, if everybody besides Jenner will turn off our cameras, our videos.
And mute, right, Erin?
And mute. And then Jenner, as whenever you feel ready to start playing, go ahead and come off mute and bring us in for a few minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
Hey, Erin. Hey, Erin.
Yeah.
We have to go. You have to go back in and do the exact same thing again, and enable that share because it's not showing. Francesca just called again. It's not showing. It's black on. Yeah, it's a black screen. Yeah.
Okay. Jenner, feel free to just warm up or play or whatever.
Okay, cool. This summer I went swimming, this summer I might have drowned, but I held my breath, kicked my feet, moved my arms around, I moved my arms around. This summer I swam in the ocean, swam in a swimming pool, solved my wounds, cleaned my eyes, I'm a self-destructive fool, I'm a self-destructive fool.
Yeah, Erin, it looks good.
This summer I did the backstroke, you know that's not all. I did the breaststroke, the butterfly, and the old Australian crawl. I did the old Australian crawl. This summer I swam in a public place in a reservoir to cool. In the latter I was informal, in the former I wore my suit. I wore my swimming suit. This summer I did swan dives and jackknives for you all. And once when you weren't looking, I did a cannonball. I did a cannonball. This summer I went swimming. This summer I might have drowned, but I held my breath, kicked my feet, moved my arms around. I moved my arms around. This summer I went swimming. This summer I might have drowned, but I held my breath, kick my feet, and move my arms around. I move my arms around. If I was a jaybird, if I was a jaybird, a pack on my back, I'd drive from this town, and I never would come. in this town, and I never would come. This summer I went swimming, this summer I might have drowned, but I held my breath, kicked my feet, moved my arms around. I moved my arms around. You make me stutter, you make me dumb, you make me lonesome. You're the one. We could do nothing, could do some. I don't care. You're the one. I swore off loving, I swore off dreams. I built a fence, tall as a tree. I swore off puppies, I feared the fleas, but that's all done. You're the one. We love the moon, we curse the sun. You keep me warm, you're the one. I like to change, I like to run. Nothing's for sure, you're the one. I swore off rivers, I swore off weed, I swore off swear, but I was me. I lay with others, I lay with none, I lay with you, you're the one.
Well, we want to welcome all of you, and we know there'll be more joining us in the next few minutes, and we will welcome everyone as they come. But we wanted to go ahead and get started with our program tonight. And it is a fundraiser for the Peaceful Presence Project, and we're going to hear a little bit about what Peaceful Presence Project is, how it got started, and what its role is in our communities. For me, it comes from a place of a need for informed eldering as we all reach in towards the place where we will eventually need to face our own illness and death. So this whole fundraiser, talking about creativity and reimagining, just watching how what it's taken to pull this together has been really beautiful, because it was originally a live event and then we've had to change it. So here we are, and Jim Lucier is joining me. And Jim is a retired CEO of St. Charles Medical Center, and he's had many other roles, and he's very involved in the community. But the one that I know him the best as is the beloved husband of Margie Lucier, who died this year. And I had the honor and the distinct privilege of being her doula for almost 2 years. She was one of the first clients for the Peaceful Presence Project. And she told me in a talk as we were coming together and deciding what was we were trying to be doing, she said, I want to be one of your guinea pigs. I want to help you get this thing going because I think it's important. And so she allowed us to kind of figure out logistics and all of those other things with her. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Jim because Jim has a particular perspective on what an end of life doula is. And he's going to share a little bit from that. And he and I are going to be kind of walking us through, hopefully waltzing us through a little bit some of this fundraiser. But we wanted to start out with this personal honoring of how we are reimagining death and dying in our community. Jim, take it away.
Well, thank you, Beth. I also want to welcome everybody and hope that you have a great couple of hours, keeping in mind that this is a fundraiser. As Beth mentioned, I lost my wife of 41 years earlier to Parkinson's disease, and it has been a heck of an experience for me in the last few months. But I wanted to share with you some of the things that I think are really, really important in terms of the services that we're talking about now. During her time and I was her primary caregiver, we had lots of really valuable assistance because of the complexity of that disease and my wife's care, but also its progression. Parkinson's, as many of you know, doesn't stand alone. It keeps getting bigger. The kind of services that Peaceful Presence provided to Margie and me was invaluable, not only when she offered during the last 2 years of her life to manage medical issues, but also a variety of mental and spiritual issues that arose with each progression of her disease. And there are a lot of things that I couldn't do on my own, even though I was her primary caregiver. Beth was invaluable, not only as a caregiver, but as a coach to me in optimizing the quality of life that Margie experienced through the doula program. So my purpose here is to make a donation to that program, which I have already done. And I'm perhaps going to bid on some of the auction items that they're being offered. So do keep in mind that this is a fundraiser because I want them to succeed. And that not only takes talented caregivers, but financing to meet the needs of people in our area that have severe illness and sometimes face the end of their lives. I know because I am now living through that loss. So I hope you will all consider participating in the fundraiser. Your donations will be turned into valuable care that I can assure you someone in our communities is going to need. COVID has taught us that all healthcare workers are both angels and heroes, and that goes for Beth and all of the doula folks as well. So I can guarantee you'll feel good about any donation that you make. So step up and keep a positive attitude, and let's get this game going.
Thank you, Jim. That's beautiful. And I just wanted you all to know that I'm bidder number 8. And so if you see my name on anything, please don't outbid me. Well, no, please do outbid me. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Amy, who's going to take us through some of the pieces, some of the logistics for this.
Yes, hello. I am Amy Doherty, and I am the founder of a consulting marketing group called Think Tanky. And I am going to be your check-in for how things are going with our auction and our silent raffle today. And I want to mention, which I will repeat, that we will keep this open until Tuesday. So we've got some time. But with that, I wanted to share an original poem that I think will help frame out some of our items. So here we go. Network for Good is where this fundraiser will be with you, a bidder, a donor, or just a somebody. Register your name and you will get to choose from an assortment of whimsical events, experiences, and good times to use. Did you know? Did you see? There is original artwork to wins, from Michelle, our board chair, to the Lubismeyer twins. Deliberate parenting, or a quilt made with love, are not only on the auction page, but sent with heart from above. Death talk isn't all sad. There's beauty here too, like learning to fly fish with a guy named Stu. That's not even true. His real name is Dan. But if angling is not your forte, try forging with Orion, or gift cards around Bentown. I ain't even lying. To celebrate many plans must be met, including advance directives. Have you done yours yet? Or invite friends for a death over dinner, a gathering with love, good food, great wine, deeper friendships forever. There's endnotes and chef-inspired dinners, organic nuts for the hike, and a chance to just donate because this good cause is worth a fight. Though this rhyme scheme is almost done, what joy. Our event has just begun. More fundraising ahoy. Win a basket to pamper your doggy without a hitch, or bid on 10 sessions of yoga so you're not such a witch. No matter what, you can't go wrong. You're supporting the Peaceful Presence Project all the year long. Thank you. And also probably, I should say I'm sorry for the, for the rhyme scheme. So today my job is monitoring how things are going in the chat room. Just wanted to chat for a minute too. You can say hello if you haven't already in the chat room, please do. And I posted that there is a text to donate number in there, and I will keep repeating that on there as well. And just a couple of things to remember: if you would like to bid, as Beth said, or try to outbid Beth, then you'll just have to register, and you will put your credit card in, but nothing will be charged unless you win. So once again, I rhymed. Again, we won't be closing the entire auction until this coming Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that's Tuesday, September 22nd. So you still have some time, and you can also forward this along to friends and family who you think might want to join in some of this fun. I want to say that later in the program, I'll pop back in and check in and let you know how things are going, and just share some personal experiences and benefits from my time with this particular organization. I want to highlight 2 auction items. One is a raffle. It is number 3 and number 13. So number 3 is Gather Nutrition, or excuse me, Gather Nuts. And they're calling it a gratitude box. And it's a sample of about 6 to 8 of their delicious, organically sourced nuts and seeds. So why is that important? Because if you've ever gone really hungry to a gas station looking for nuts and seeds, and you grab some cashews, oftentimes they're really disgusting. So these are not, these are amazing. They're all organic. They're made here in Bend, Oregon. And Shanna Camuso is also a nutritionist, and they're made with a lot of love. So anyway, take a look at that. You can also ship that anywhere in the United States too. So that is item number 3. And then our other item I wanted to highlight was number 13, which is for forging. So just to kick off some fun here, I'm going to give you 2 trivia questions, and if you can answer me in the live chat. So here's the first one. So put your answer in the live chat. The first question is, what is the name of a person who forges metal? What is the name of a person who forges metal? That's the first question. And then the second one is maybe a little more tricky, maybe not for some of you. What was the name of the 80s film where the main character forged steel during the day and danced at night? All right, hopefully you'll let me know soon. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. And I'll check back in later. Any questions, feel free to put in the chat. Thank you so much. Back to you, Beth.
Not that Flash Dance is any of the answers to those, right? Okay, let's move along. So I'd like to introduce Erin Collins and Elizabeth Johnson, who are the two, they're the two founders and major forces behind the Peaceful Presence Project. I didn't meet either one of them until the doula movement kind of engaged me. But I should have met both of them earlier in my life because they're just the most wonderful people, humans, and friends. And Erin is a certified hospice and palliative care nurse. She worked for Partners in Care just as I have since then. And she is the founder for the Peaceful Presence Project. And she's had extremely a variety of experiences around death and dying. And Elizabeth is a creative programmer and educator, and she's worked all over the world, and she brings a wealth of experience around how to do that to the Peaceful Presence Project, as well as her own story around loss and grief. And so I'm going to turn it over to the two of them to talk to you about how this came to be and what some of our goals are in the community of Central Oregon.
Thank you for that introduction, Beth. There's Elizabeth. We are so grateful to be here and to be at this point where we're having an actual fundraiser, a big fundraiser in a very short time. We came together in 2019 as a collective. I was so honored to meet or re-meet or become reacquainted or even just discover that some of these really wonderful women I knew also wanted to show up as end-of-life doulas in our community. So a little bit about my story. As Beth mentioned, I was a hospice and palliative care nurse at Partners in Care. I did both inpatient hospice care at Hospice House, as well as in the field, visiting people in their homes. And in 2018, what I found was that people, my patients, were arriving to hospice afraid of dying, afraid of death, and they were largely unprepared for the end of life. And that just presented as a lot of suffering. And then I had a couple of patients who were just the opposite. They had prepared, they had considered their mortality, and they had this experience that was really more celebratory. And so at that point, it was just about the time I was taking a self-imposed sabbatical from bedside nursing. And during that sabbatical, this light went on in my head that there was something that I could do in the community, basically to provide nursing care to the community, to try and ease that suffering that I had seen, to get people talking about their mortality, to get people planning ahead for it, and then to walk alongside individuals in the community who could use a little extra support. Hospice was there, and I know how much hospice provides, and I feel so so proud of the opportunity that people have to enter into hospice care for the end of their lives. But I also saw that there were a large number of people in the community who could use more guidance ahead of hospice and kind of figuring out when was the right time to go to hospice. So when I trained as an end-of-life doula, it was very short thereafter that I met Elizabeth and Beth and Carrie and Marion and my old colleague Jamie, and we decided to come together and form this collective, the Peaceful Presence Project, and in late 2019 earned our 501c3 status, which is what brings us here today. So Elizabeth, I'll let you give your introduction, and then we'll both switch back and forth about what we're excited about. Thanks.
Thanks, Erin, and thank you all for being here with us today. I was feeling earlier into, I feel like we're the little organization that can, just knowing that there's this force behind us. It's always a great opportunity to think about how to articulate our why, and as I was thinking about what I wanted to say to all of you today, I think that my why really was informed by the challenge or the possibility that confronts all of us, which is this question of how do I create a world and a community that I want to see? And I'll get back to what I mean by that in a minute. In my professional life, as Beth alluded to, I've spent a lot of time working and living internationally. I spent a lot of years in India, which is definitely a country that does not let you forget that death is a part of life. And that's, I think, where a lot of my initial learning happened around this process. When I was in India, I was reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And one of the core messages of that book is that in order to live well, we need to know how to die well. And I sat with that for a long time and thought, as I look around, I see that we really are not in so many ways willing to entertain our impermanence. That there's this sort of vice grip of fear, as Aaron alluded to, that has, I think, really enduring implications and these reverberations within our communities and within our family systems. And that really started getting me to think about, what does it look like to do this holistic preparedness for ourselves as humans who don't really want to die, who don't want to talk about death? What does it look like to get us to pause long enough and have these both personal and collective conversations about our eventual dying process, so that those around us are not caught off guard and as fearful and left to deal with both the death as well as all of the other things that oftentimes surround an end-of-life experience. 10 years ago, I was forced to make the unforeseen and really painful decision to take my son off of life support about a day after his full-term birth. And after this experience, I was met with a world that was absolutely unable to talk about death and really meet me in my grief. And I, for the most part, was really left to navigate this loss in a very disorienting manner. I felt isolated, I felt unprepared. And I looked around and thought, who really has the capacity to hold me in this, right? The world around me does not really want to talk about nor acknowledge death, right? And I think death and loss are so painful. And in so many ways, the absence of a death and grief literate culture is even more painful. And whether we're talking about death that occurs shortly after birth, or a death that's, occurs when we're 40 or 60 or 80, the unfortunate reality is that so many of us are confronted with this experience. And so this really put me, my personal why, this is what put me on this end of life path. So we just wanted to talk a bit about where we really are wanting to focus and are focusing our organizational efforts. And I think Beth and Jim did a beautiful job of opening up and talking about both direct experiences that they had, as well as, sort of Beth doing this work alongside of us. And it feels important to say that we really work from a perspective that death is a social event with a medical component. Death is a social event with a medical component. And so this means that we all have the ability to really be more death and grief literate. And so for us, a lot of our energy is really being focused towards education, because this has, we believe, larger reverberations within communities if people really have practical wisdom and know how to show up and support loved ones or community members or coworkers when there is serious illness, when there is terminal illness, when there's an unforeseen death, where there's the presence of really intense grief. And so we do a lot of grief literacy and death literacy work. And we're seeing, luckily, that people are really hungry for the opportunity to learn and also remember how to support and really be a community resource, not in a medical way, but in a very human way. By the end of this year, by the end of 2021, we'll have trained 46 end-of-life doulas throughout the country via our 8-week professional training program. And we've also created a shorter 3-week online training opportunity for community members who are really interested in developing more practical wisdom around how to support others in the death and grieving process. And all of our work is really at the core about empowerment and the culture, the cultivation of a culture of care, I think, so that people have more stabilizing and compassionate support available to them. And really not about adding another layer of expertise to the dying process, but rather, I'd say, helping us to reclaim our generative and active capacity, which is moved by this deeper knowing that death really is a social event, and our support and our presence is needed. So Erin, I'll open it up to you to share a bit more about our work.
Thank you. So we often talk about that we have three main program areas. And the first one, as Elizabeth just described, is education. The second one is planning. So planning for end of life, as well as proactive and holistic advanced care planning. And the third area is what we call compassionate presence, and supporting and walking alongside individuals and families with a dying loved one. In the past year, I would say really remarkably, in 2020, the year when things all shut down, we had a really amazing opportunity where we shifted a lot of things online, as you can see, just like this fundraiser. And that really enabled us to broaden our reach for our educational programs. And at the same time, in 2020, and then the first part of this year, we have strengthened our partnership with local hospices and hospices in the region, as well as across the state. We're really excited about some burgeoning partnerships in the Portland metropolitan area, perhaps in Southern Oregon. So it's been a pretty remarkable year in the midst of COVID. And I think a big part of that is that mortality has been on everyone's radar. It's been not even on their radar, it's been right in front of them. And so people are interested in realizing how important it is to talk more about this and to plan ahead. I also want to highlight that the compassionate presence programming that we offer, which is our direct doula services. In the past 2 years, we've supported 10 families with pretty comprehensive doula support. One experience that's really fresh for all of us is that we recently supported a family with a gentleman who we were there to support him in the last few months of his life and really guide him towards palliative care and then towards hospice care. And then for the last week of his life, we provided around-the-clock support. And it was a really incredible and profound experience for our doulas to be in such deep relationship after really getting to know this family over several months. And we find that that's where we really have a lot of impact for families, is those relationships that develop over months where we're able to educate and guide and walk alongside, and then be there for continuity as someone goes through hospice and through the end of life. So really what we're looking at is continuing to increase the number of doulas we have locally and in the region. We also are wanting to expand what we call our compassionate care funding so that we're able to provide doula support, whether it's once a week, once a month, or 24 hours a day, that we can provide doula support to any person in our community who wants this level of support, especially if they can't pay. We know that we've always offered our services on a sliding scale to accommodate the most people. And we've always said that if somebody can't afford our services, we'll be there. And the way we do that is through donations. And when you're able to donate to us either on a one-time or a monthly basis, it really helps to start building that compassionate care fund alongside our operating expenses, so that we can continue to show up for anybody who wants our support. In the next year, we'll continue also with our outreach efforts and expanding the number of referral partners we have in the community. When many of you may have seen, we had an article featured in the Source Weekly this past week, and we've already seen a big uptick in communications from that. So we can only hope for more and more awareness of what we provide in the community. So Elizabeth, I'll hand it back to you to introduce a new face and a new story.
Thank you. So we wanted to ask Rebecca Hines to come on here with us and speak a bit to this community that's gathered today. Rebecca is a producer and filmmaker. Her company is called Thunder Snow, and she's become a dear friend as well to all of us at the Peaceful Presence Project. And in 2020, we reached out to Rebecca and said, we need help doing storytelling around our work so that people have a way to tap into what it is that we do in the community, what our services look and feel like, something beyond what we just have on our website in terms of kind of written material. And Rebecca is a very sought after producer. She has a lot of amazing skill and storytelling capacity. And she very, very generously gave us, a fair amount of time and expertise and just hours of support in imagining how we might create something that storytells about our work. So we'll share the link in the chat thread here for those that haven't had a chance to see the video that Rebecca created for us. But we just wanted to open up a space for Rebecca to speak a bit about her experience of witnessing the Peaceful Presence Project in action and just what it stood out to her in terms of your time with us. So thank you, Rebecca, for being here.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I came into the Peaceful Presence world. My first step was really taking a Zoom class with you during the pandemic and learning how to do my advanced directive, which had been on my life list like a lot of people. It had been nagging at me. It was something I wanted to learn how to communicate to my family. And I got through that and finished the document. So that was the first impact of Peaceful Presence on my life that really has been something that has mattered, and I've been developing it. From the filmmaking perspective, I sometimes work solely as a producer where I'm more behind the camera and I have a team. In this project, it was what we kind of call a one-woman show. So I was filming and directing, interviewing the doulas, and then also editing the project to completion. One thing that I really cherish about my career is that it puts me in all these places in life that I never would have been to, like filming in some homes right after Hurricane Katrina in Mississippi, or I filmed at the sidelines of the Boston Marathon, to being with a farmer in Iowa, all over the country. And one thing I love about that is that I get to have this fly on the wall perspective on what people really do. In life, we often don't even really know what the majority of our loved ones do day by day in their professional world, because we don't really get to get in there and see what it is. So this film project was eye-opening for me, truly, because I had a seat at the table watching them in action. It started with an interview and sitting with Elizabeth and Aaron in their office. And we spent a couple hours just talking about what the Peaceful Presence Project is, who they are. And again, my own personal takeaway from that was just being able to be in a room where the word death and dying and all of it is spoken with full breath. It's a matter of fact thing. We're not shying away from it. And just having that experience, because I, again, like many people, live in a world where I don't have access to that in my daily life. And then when things really took root for me was going into the field with the project and being able to be in one of their clients' home, probably similar to what Aaron was just speaking about with your recent experience. It was a really cold winter day. It was raining and super windy. And I kind of ran into the home. Elizabeth held the door open for me, and I stepped in out of the wind, and I saw their client sitting at her dining room table, surrounded by Marion and Elizabeth, the doulas, and her hospice nurse. And I saw in a moment all the layers of care of what these women were doing for their client. Marion had made her a little sandwich and was trying to get her to get some sustenance in her body. And Elizabeth had all these trays of pills and vitamins and paperwork, and she was helping guide the conversation with the hospice nurse who was taking stock of how the week had gone and what their client was wanting to remember to relay to her hospice nurse and all of that. So I saw, the layers of like kind of the technical, the physical care. But then what was really striking was just this group of women truly surrounding this woman with love and with laughter. That it was lighthearted. And Erin a minute ago said the word deep relationship. And that really resonated because I saw it in action. But when you read something like that on a website or in a brochure about a nonprofit organization, it's hard to really make sense of what that means. Or sometimes it can feel like there's a lot of language around something, yet what does it really look like in action? And so with this specific experience in filming, I really got to see that. I got to see it in action and what it really feels and looks like. And it felt like a room that was warm and comforting and caring. And this woman, in essence, she just wasn't alone. And that was my most poignant takeaway from the project. So it's just been an honor to be kind of an ancillary part of the Peaceful Presence project, and great to be with you all today. So thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here with us. So we are going to bring Jenner Fox back on. For those that joined in the beginning, we had him playing some beautiful music. We are able to have Jenner here today with us because of a generous music sponsorship from Strictly Organic Coffee. So we very much appreciate their support of this fundraiser. Jenner is based in Sisters, Oregon, and I think his music just feels so appropriate for this space. He's a beautiful songwriter and also storyteller. I also noticed somewhere, I was looking on his website somewhere, that he's a second generation river guide. So it feels like he's got some good water spirits in his world. He also just put out a new album yesterday, which is called Planet I'm From, and it's out everywhere where music can be found. So definitely check that out. And we'll also put his website here in the chat box on the side. He'll be touring and playing this new album this fall. So Jenner, thank you so much for joining us, and let us know if there's anything else that you want to say about yourself or your music or anything in this space.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's an honor to be here. This is already, just really special to hear you all talk and especially to hear the whys. That's always where the best stuff is. So thank you for having me. When thinking about the prompt was to play some songs that might be fitting with end of life and grieving and this wonderful organization. And so I was thinking, I used to live in Austin, Texas, and I was working as a musician, which meant riding around as a bicycle taxi driver and listening to a lot of podcasts. And I listened to this guy, DJ Miller, interviewed, who ran the Zen Hospice Center in San Francisco, I believe. And he sort of said something similar to what Elizabeth just said, that in order to live well, we have to be able to die well. And his sort of spin on that was that he felt like in being a part of the dying and these, really potent moments in people's lives, that he felt like he had the key to living. And I was like riding around on my bicycle taxi and sort of lost and went home and looked up hospice in Austin and found this place called Heart to Heart, I believe it was called, and volunteered, filled out the paperwork, and came in, and they paired me with this wonderful woman named Nelda Stockman. Basically it was like, just go hang out with her whenever you want. She was in this kind of stuffy place in the center in Austin. And so I went out a couple times a week and hung out with her, and she didn't talk. So, we'd kind of like, she still had a great sense of humor. We'd hold hands and make jokes about the staff and whatever. And one day I thought to bring in an instrument and played some songs I thought she might know, and she loved it. And then afterwards she said she spoke for the first time, which was an incredible moment, incredible, what is music doing in the brain moment. And anyway, I went outside and started writing this song. This is for Nelda. Nelda Stockman was her name. You can't make up that sort of thing. Skin like a plastic bag. I was the only visitor she had. She stood 4 feet short, with eyes that always seemed to water. She was old, but she was somebody's daughter. She didn't talk much anymore. They didn't say what for. We'd sit there and hold hands. I'd sing her old country standards. To know the room you're gonna die in. Does it make you free or make you silent? She was old, but you should have seen her smile. Between the breathing machines and beeps, I wondered how she'd ever sleep. The TV never stopped, but I never saw her watching. She kept a military man beside her bed in a frame. She was old, and there was nobody to blame. Nelda Stockman was her name. You can't make up that sort of thing. She died in her hospice room. I'd long since moved. I just got a letter. It was typed in note. Said she was old and her time had come. The day she passed is a day I can't remember. The day she passed was just like the day after. Thank you. I'm gonna play song by my favorite songwriting duos, Daryl Scott and Tim O'Brien, who will be at the Sisters Folk Festival this year. Pretty cool to be on. I'm playing there this year as well. Pretty cool to be on the lineup with them. This is another song about that Tim O'Brien wrote about one of his friends who passed. It's called "Walk Beside Me." Put one foot in front of the other, stepping into the here and now. I'm not sure just where I'm going, but I will get there anyhow. I got this far with no direction. I followed my nose to where I stand. My heart still sings, and I know I'll make it. We'll set right down to the promised land. Brother, come and walk beside me till our pathways do divide. Nothing much but love to give, even less have I to hide. When you left me in the springtime, so many questions on my mind. Summer came and it left me waiting, but not one answer could I find. Well, I saw you in the Rocky Mountains, I felt you in the Great North Sea. Oh, it's a lonesome road that I have to travel, but you will always be with me. Sister, come and walk beside me till our pathways do divide. Nothing much but love to give, even less have I to hide. I hear laughter in the thunder, I feel comfort in the wind, and I see hope in hopeless faces. Someday they will love again. People come and walk beside of me till our pathways do divide. Nothing much but love to give, but even less have I to hide. People come and walk beside me till our pathways do divide. Nothing much but love to give you, even less have I to hide. Thank you. Passing it along.
And thank you so much, Jenna. Those are beautiful, beautiful stories. Kind of got lost there for a minute. So Jim is going to talk a little bit about the next piece of the raffle and give us an update on that.
Yeah, well, before we do that, I'm going to just chime in on a couple of other points that I heard talked about early on in the whys that were being discussed. As you mentioned, I worked at St. Charles for 37 years. And after that, spent a lot of time coaching professionals, especially male professionals and sometimes physicians. And one of the things that I learned is that a lot of males were often in the same boat that I was in having their future erased because of a loss of a spouse or disease. And a lot of others had reported that, you know, when I get to be 70 or 80, I didn't know that I would get there that fast. And I didn't have anything planned. And they end up at the end of their life being really angry because they didn't do a couple of things. One is to plan for their future, and secondly, to plan for their death. So there's a whole group of males out there that doula can really support in a big way. You know, in my case, I looked at my vision of life not too long ago and said, you know, what I really wanted was to have a soulmate that I loved, and I loved my wife, Margie, a lot, but she passed away. And all of a sudden, I was having this void of a future. And so I've started working on that, because I really want to live the rest of my life and do some things that are productive and important in this world. And we're going to do that, but we need money. And that brings us back to looking at the auction. If you haven't looked at the auction yet, you need to really do that. There's some really wonderful things there. I'm very interested in that guiding fishing trip raffle.
Hey, Jim, could you turn on your video? Sorry to interrupt, but.
Well, somebody took it off.
Yeah, so I'm just going to click to ask you to, there you go, you're back.
I got it back on. Somebody shut it off for me and I couldn't get it shut back on.
Perfect, thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you haven't ever been to Sandpoint, Idaho, we have a 2-night stay in Sandpoint. It's a wonderful little town. It's a great place to be. There is a Tumalo dinner for 8. Tumalo's right close to Bend, if you don't know that, and the Loma Lodge on the McKenzie River is another place to have a mini vacation. So there is just an awful lot of things that you can do to help us out, raise the money that was needed to expand the doula program and Peaceful Presence program in Central Oregon. So look at those things. And Amy is going to tell us a little bit more about how we're doing with the raffle.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Yes, the raffle is looking good. We are almost halfway to our goal, and things are heating up, Beth. Just want you to know that. A couple of things I'll mention too. Number 7 is a really special gift. This is also a friend of Elizabeth, one of the co-founders. This is Lost to Legacy. And this is a book by the incredible Lily Myers Kaplan. And this also includes sessions working with her. And this Lost to Legacy is a map for conscious grieving. And it guides grievers through mourning into meaning and purpose and the possibility of building a living legacy, and really offers some richness that I think is worth taking a look at. And I'll also mention that Let's Go Fishing with our guy named Dan is an incredible one. It's a half-day happy hour float. He's offering this as a 2.5-mile float trip on the wild and scenic Lower Deschutes River during the late afternoon and early evening. And it's a great way to spend time and fish with an expert. It's picture perfect sunsets, he can promise, and a chance for some great fishing. in Central Oregon. And Dan knows he has actually been doing, he's starting his company in 1997. And he has been fly fishing since he was 8 years old. And that was back in Tahoe. So I thought it was really interesting to mention. And I wanted to say, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of personal pieces here with my experience with Aaron and Elizabeth and the Peaceful Presence Project is my 89 and 87-year-old parents live in a house and share it with my husband and our 2 kids. And we've been here for about 2 years. And I wanted to say that cohabitating is an incredible experience. And it's only been probably made more rich by working with these doulas, and especially working through end notes. And I know a lot of you have found your way to bidding on number 9, which is an actual experience of working with Aaron and Elizabeth. And then there's also the 2 copies of end notes, which is item number 12. And those are also available for PDF on the website as well. So definitely check those out. It's a great guidepost, I think, for helping families work through advanced directives and beyond too, and answering a lot of questions that we don't even know to ask one another. And it's been a huge help. And the other one is Death Over Dinner. And I actually have one of my dearest friends here in Bend in town for this weekend who we collaborated on presenting a Death Over Dinner experience for ourselves and about 5 other friends. And we did this via Zoom, and it was this summer. And I wanted to pull my friend Kelly in to say a few words about how awesome the experience was, because she's here in person. This is Kelly.
Good afternoon. So I actually live in Washington, D.C., but I was in Indianapolis this summer visiting friends. And when Amy reached out to 2 of us about hosting a dinner, my first immediate response was Death Over Dinner. Like, I've done death a lot. I've lost a lot of family members. Like, I don't need this. But the truth matters, it was an incredible experience. It was a really just very insightful evening. And we were all able to share a lot, and we're very good friends. We've been friends for many years, but there are a lot of things we shared that we didn't know about each other. And it was just a really amazing space that we were able to find new ways to be there for each other and be present for each other, as well as learning more just about this entire incredible program. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just say, Aaron and Elizabeth helped you kick the entire thing, and it is kind of a really unique opportunity to have conversations. Again, you could do this with family, but with a series of old friends that we may or may not be able and around each other to have these conversations, and it's really brought us closer together. So I hope you'll check that one out. I want to say I encourage number 8, just making my notes, which is just dogs, dogs, dogs. It's all about dogs. And this one is sponsored by Roughwear and also one of our dear board members, Vicki. So thank you for this opportunity. And I also say one more quick offering to you to highlight is, let me check what this number is. So number 6 is deliberate parenting. And since I already brought Vicki into this, Vicki Jones is a coaching professional and has her own organization, or has her own company called Parent Coach Professionals. There's a website if you want to check it out, Parent Coach Professionals. And she is offering a 4-hour workshop followed by 6 parent coaching sessions. And this workshop will support parents of teens or young adults to discover ways to parent on purpose. And with Vicki, you will discuss communication tools and strategies, family value clarifications, agreements and consequences, and the guiding principles important to you in your home. So again, if you want to check that one out, item number 6, a wonderful offering, and thank you, Vicki. So having said that, we are doing well. We're almost halfway to our goal. You can also text, and I'll put this number again. You can text to donate at 527-7520, and I will be back shortly to check in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. So I have the privilege of being a hospital chaplain, and I work in the palliative care part of that. And I see every day what Erin spoke about is that people come to their dying without preparation, without education, without having really dealt with the issues that will lead them to have the opportunity to have a peaceful death. And so as we look at what the Peaceful Presence Project is trying to do, which is to reimagine how we have these conversations across the community, one of the angles to say, one of the pieces of this is the homeless population and working with that. And so I am very, very honored to introduce Colleen Thomas, who is going to talk a little bit about her background and also about how she her passion around both end of life and the homeless population. But I'm going to read you just a little bit about who she is. She serves as a chairperson of the Region's Continuum of Care, the Homeless Leadership Coalition, and the Deschutes County Homeless Services Coordinator. She's lived in Bend for just over 10 years, working directly with many vulnerable populations. She came to Bend as an AmeriCorps member, and that's where I met her when I was also working at the Council on Aging. She came and she was so homesick that I was worried that she wouldn't stay, but she did. She, after only 11 months, she engaged with the community, and the rest, is, they say, is history. And so I'm going to turn it over to Colleen, and it's lovely seeing your face, and so glad that you're part of the movement.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you, everyone. What an honor to be here with all of you this evening and hear all these wonderful stories and the wonderful music provided by Jenner. It's just a complete honor and privilege to be with all of you this evening. And so as Beth mentioned, I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to participate in Peaceful Presence's first cohort this past winter, early spring for the end of life doula professional training. And what brought me to this work and where my heart lies is really with vulnerable populations, because I truly do believe that everyone in our community deserves to be treated with dignity and respect in all aspects of life, from day to day to especially the end of life and what that means for individuals. Working with older adults or just anyone in end of life has been a place in my heart that I've held very close and dear. And I was always, when doula, end of life doula trainings and, was really picking up steam across the nation, I was really intrigued and did my research and wanted to participate in a training, but life got complicated and busy, as we all know. And I have to say, when I saw the opportunity with Peaceful Presence Project come up this last year, I was just blown away. The stars aligned in having an opportunity to be able to participate in such a wonderful training with individuals here locally, to have that sense of the local aspect of what end of life looks like in our community, but also to participate with individuals all across the Pacific Northwest that brought different experiences and goals for what their training and doula work would look like. It was every week, through that 8-week training held a piece in my heart, and I learned so much and took a lot away from that training, and continue to hold that in the work that I do every day. I've been really excited since completing the training and continuing my partnership and relationship with Elizabeth and Erin and others in the cohort that went through the end of life training. My hope, as Beth so wonderfully mentioned, end of life work and for individuals is not something that is at the forefront of conversations for all individuals, and especially for our vulnerable populations that might not be having, when you are thinking about where you're going to sleep at night or what you're going to eat for your next meal, thinking of advanced care planning and end of life is not maybe a priority. So our hope is to be able to bridge that gap. And my hope is with the work with Peaceful Presence Project and others through the cohort is that we can bridge that gap and work on community education and building, advanced care planning for other agencies across our community, because there is a gap, and all individuals in our community deserve to be able to move forward through their lives and build those relationships with others, whether that's family members or not. And that if we can be there for folks in end of life, then that is something that I really want to see us as a community be able to push forward. And I can't speak more highly of Elizabeth and Erin and all the doulas in our community and connected to Peaceful Presence Project, because that's the work that we're doing. And I'm excited about some partnerships that we're looking forward to over the next couple of months of really working on how do we build capacity within our community for advanced care planning. And it doesn't have to be at the stage of end of life. It's important to have those conversations and the compassionate presence mentality to be able to have those conversations in our community. So again, I'm just so honored and excited about the opportunity and partnerships that we can continue to move forward in our community and hold dear to our heart that, all individuals across our community really deserve to be able to feel like they have that death literacy as they continue through that work. And the individuals and the training through Peaceful Presence Project has just been one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my career, and I'm excited for continued partnerships. So thank you again for having me here and the work of all of you that are participating tonight. And it looks like I got outbid, so I got to get back and throw another bid on there for Schweitzer Mountain. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Colleen. And Amy, I think you're going to give us a little bit of an update on where we are.
Yes, great. Hi there. Yes, that was so interesting, Colleen. Thank you. I appreciate hearing how this works out for you too. It's just incredible. So thank you for all of the folks who have just been donating. We are increasingly getting closer to our goal, and most importantly, I think it's helpful to know that there is, as everyone has spoken to today, a lot of work ahead and a lot more folks to reach. And so we have two things going on. We have this auction and sort of this goal of 15,000 is open and available until this coming Tuesday, which is the 21st of September at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And you are more than welcome to forward and send the link and the text to donate message to your friends and family as well, who you find might be interested in supporting our work. And then once we close down this initial fundraiser, we'll be looking towards the end of the year and sort of what our final goal would be for 2021 to really help support and push our work into a larger scale into 2022. So it's important that we kind of reach our goal and find our way to that by Tuesday. So let's see, I wanted just to update a couple other items. We are looking like the number 10 Let's Go Fishing, the fly fishing one, is starting to really roll. So thank you for that. And the art pieces that are the Lebesmeyer twins have 2 framed ceramic art tiles. Some of you are starting to really go for it. I know it's going to be an exciting bid war. So Lisa and Laura Lebesmeyer are twins, and they're identical, and they do those incredible vivid landscapes printed on ceramic tiles. And then speaking of other artists, we have our very own board chair, Michelle Seaburn, and she has 2 pieces as well, and they are gorgeous. And I'm looking for the numbers again. I think we've got item number 5 is one of the 2 original fabric compositions by Michelle, and that one is called The Giving Tree, and it is actually 13 by 16, and it includes a custom wood frame. And then the second piece of that in her collection is item number 15, and it's called The Leaves of Change. So Michelle, again, thank you for that beautiful work, and thank you for your work on our board as well. And then finally, we have incredible artist Linda Wolf, who's in Sisters, Oregon, for some of you who are from Sisters. I think that's where Jenner is in from today. And Linda's very well known around Sisters. So for those of you who are local, you know her work. And she has an incredible piece that is also, let's see here. I'm looking for her item number. Sorry for the pause here. Yeah, maybe I can't find it. So if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the, sorry about the break here. Let's see. Linda, where is, oh, okay, number 16 is the full moon artwork. Sorry about that, number 16. All right, so those are all of our art pieces. There's time. We appreciate your support, and you can also donate and help our work and expand it throughout Central Oregon and beyond. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to you, Beth.
And I think Jim is on there as well. And we're beginning to wrap this up, but of course we're not wrapping up the fundraiser and the raffle and the silent auction. So we wanted to thank our sponsors, and Jim may want to chime in on any of this as well, but we've got Severson Plumbing. We're very grateful to them for their underwriting and support. Strictly Organic for bringing us our beautiful music with Jenner, and Partners in Care, who are wonderful partners with this group of doulas and across the community in end of life care, support, education, and moving the whole movement forward. So
we
Jim.
got Heirloom Farm as well.
Oh,
So,
right.
Yeah. You know, one thing I wanted to just chime on is all the speakers today. You can't believe how energetic they are. And it's just unbelievably to listen to how deep they go in terms of their purpose and why they're doing this and the kind of care that can come out of it. And so it's just amazing to have been here and watch all of those kinds of presentations going. And I can tell you, because you are our doula, that same thing happens in our home, our bedrooms with our people that we're trying to care for. And it's really, really important, because that's where my purpose was as well with you. So those kinds of things, and watching it even on Zoom, it would have been better live, but we can't be live. So Zoom is okay. And the energy hopefully came really through to everybody. And now they can go out in bed, and that's what I'm going to do, because I want some of those things. And I'm sure I've been overbid because I haven't been paying attention. So thank you all for being here. And I'll turn it back to you, Beth.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you for those kind words. And you know that it was a labor of love, both to work with Margie, of course, and also to, as you call, coach you, which you didn't need a whole lot of coaching. You just needed some support and to cry a little bit together and do some laughing as well. So thank you for being such an amazing caretaker and caregiver for your beloved. So,
well, this has made it part of my life. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So as we have mentioned, that this is the kickoff. Now we're officially almost in the last quarter of the year. And so there will be fundraising that will be happening through the end of the year. And there'll be other opportunities for people to donate, to get involved. Other offerings that will be coming along as far as educational events. And we hope this isn't just about raising money. This is about raising awareness and raising the whole, as what do they say, that a rising tide raises all boats. So that, what we do in homes like the Lucier home helps overall in the community, what's happening with all of end of life care, because education, support, it trickles out into the community, people that hear about it from, it's still word of mouth. So we are very, very grateful for each piece that people want to donate, how they want to get involved. If you have a talent or a passion, please let anybody of the Peaceful Presence, but especially Elizabeth or Erin, know, and we can find places for you to give of yourself some way or another. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth to take us on home. And it's been wonderful spending this time with you all. And thanks again, Jim. It's wonderful always as working with you close.
You're welcome, Beth. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you both so much. First, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Jim and Beth for being our MCs this evening and kind of keeping it going and really keeping that thread of how we show up and a real story of what it was like and what it is like to have doula support. So thank you both for giving us your time this evening. I also want to thank, just as Beth did, Severson Plumbing, who came in and really did provide presenting sponsorship for us tonight to really help kick off and really helped us get from a live event to a live on Zoom event or live streaming event, and really helped make this kind of have a good foundation for success. And again, Strictly Organic, presenting Jenner Fox, who we're so grateful for, also coming in kind of at the last minute, but I can't imagine that anybody else was meant to be here this evening. Rare Loom Farm, who, if you haven't checked out the Farm to Table dinner, I highly recommend that you get a dinner, chef prepared dinner by Anna Hall. And Nicole Hayden from Foxtail Bakery, and you get transportation out to Rare Loom Farm, and it's for 8 people, so you can hand pick your family and friends and go out on an awesome evening at Rare Loom Farm. And then, as Beth mentioned, Partners in Care, who we've really become great partners with their hospice and palliative care teams, and we look forward to a strengthened, even stronger partnership as we move ahead. So with all of those thanks, and thanks to all the amazing stories which have just humbled me a little bit this evening, that people really believe in this work. And we kind of knew that when we all came together, we knew that this was important. We know that this is important, and having people in the community and across the country come together and show up and provide us with the financial backing to make this happen is really, really humbling. So I want to say thank you to all of you who have showed up and believed in us. And we really, really are looking forward to what 2022 is going to bring. And so for these I don't know if Elizabeth wants to say anything else before, or do you want to bring Jenner on with his last thank you?
I just want to acknowledge that there is so much support, obviously, here in Central Oregon for the work that we're doing. And we're also grateful to all of you who've joined us from other places across the country. We've just, with the opportunity of, one of the gifts of the pandemic was it allowed Aaron and I to sort of reimagine the reach of our work and where we could have engagement with other communities and other individuals across the country. And so just appreciative of the regional and national scope that this work is growing into, and just encouraging you all to reach out and stay in touch if you want to work with us to sort of reimagine something similar in your community. We love having those conversations with people.
Oh, Elizabeth, one other thing I wanted to say is to remind people to not be afraid of a death over dinner. That it's not, that I know it sounds like, oh my God, why would I talk about death over dinner? But, you know, Amy and Kelly mentioned, and that evening that we had with those gals, there were 7 gals in one room and another person in another town. And it was all on Zoom, as it has been. But if you were to win that death over dinner experience, depending on when, what the timing is, and if you're in a local place or you want to fly us to wherever you are, we could do an in-person death over dinner, or we can do it on Zoom, and it's equally amazing. And it's just a really profound experience, and it's really lighthearted. We keep it light, and we really focus on a topic or an aspect of death, dying, grief, loss that feels important to you and your group. And it really is fun, and it really does open up relationships. And so I just wanted to do that last plug that there's no bids yet, so you might get a great deal, but don't be afraid. It's really, really fun. And with that, Elizabeth, you can send us on out.
Okay, we'll close here with Jenner. Before we do that, we just want to express overwhelming gratitude to Beth and Jim and Amy and Rebecca and Colleen for joining us in this space, and to all of you being here and part of the heartbeat of this community and of this work. So thank you so much for your presence and the little and big and everywhere in between ways in which you show up to be a part of this culture of care that we are working to cultivate and allow to flourish here in our own community and across the country and maybe the globe even. So thank you so much for you being here. As a reminder, as Amy said multiple times, all of the auction and raffle items will stay open until 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And again, just a huge thank you. This has been a beautiful time. We hope you've enjoyed the storytelling and just this opportunity to come together and be together in this way. So Jenner, we'll bring you back on and just let you sing us out of this space. And you're all welcome to, we'll close here with Jenner. There won't be anything after this. So this is the final thank you and goodbye. And thank you, Jenner, for your time and your beautiful music.
Of course, yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. As soon as I sign off of this, I'm going to bid on death over dinner. So no one get to that first. I'm going to finish with a goodbye, good night song. And this song, I was playing a show in Cincinnati maybe 3 years ago, and a woman came up to me after the show, and she wanted to talk about what we had in common. And what we had in common was that her dad played the guitar. And so we started talking about that. And her dad was an elderly gentleman with Alzheimer's disease. And she was telling me that he had picked up the guitar because he wanted to write a song for his wife. And it had been years since he played guitar. And so she said he would diligently work on the song every day, get it to a certain place and put the guitar down and go about his day and go to sleep and wake up the next day having forgotten everything he'd written and starting the song over again. This song starts there. It's called Lullaby. Go to sleep knowing there's a man writing verses with a wheel in his hand. He'll get them perfect. Stop and forget again. Oh, say goodnight knowing you'll be all right. Come tomorrow, I'll be gone. But hell, it's tonight. I hope it rains all day. So long is strange to say. There's time to be nasty, time to hold hands. There's time to go dancing. There's always new bands. There's an ice cream truck. It rains in Los Angeles. But there will never be enough time with me. Oh, go to bed with good weather in your head, 'cause if not today, tomorrow instead, there's time to pretend you're somebody else. Oh, rest assured, the leaves will turn, and there are folks out there who want to be heard, and though their voices are spared, they have beautiful things to say. There's time to go swimming, time for a pool There's time at a touch. There's a sky for two. There's rules and ruts and ridiculous holidays. But it's never the right time to stay. No, it's never the right time to say. Give in to the ground, knowing you'll let down everyone you love. There'll be times you're not proud of, but ain't it something to be slowly spinning round? Oh, go to sleep, knowing there's no place I would rather be than face to face, staring hopelessly and blissfully away. There's time for loving, time for leaving, there's time for blessing, there's time for sneezing, there's time to waste, but no time to lose. And there will never be enough time with you. If you're on mute, maybe you could join me in that part. If the words are easy, it just goes like this. Anything does. Still, folks, yes, I would love to be a part of the organization. It sounds like the thing I've been waiting for a long time. Thanks to Joel for spreading the word. I could play another tune, or if folks are still around.
Thanks, Jenner. Yeah, if you want to keep playing, that's
Sure.
fine. I think we're just about at 5:30, so
Cool.
if you just want to strum a little.
Yeah, just play it as it ends. Feel free to end it while I'm playing.
Yeah. Thanks.
Totally. Thanks for having me. This is let's do a Guy Clark song. This is a song about jumping off the garage. He was 8 years old with a flour sack cape tied all around his head. He climbed up on the garage, figuring what the heck. Screwed his courage up so tight that the whole thing came unwound. He got a running start and bless his heart, he headed for the ground. Now he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms and hold your breath, and always trust your cape. sack cape tied all around his dreams. He ain't scared of nothing, he's bursting at the seams. He screws his courage, he licks his finger, tests the wind. It's gonna be do or die. But he ain't scared of nothing, he's pretty sure he could fly. Now he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms and hold your breath and always trust Kate. Now he's old and gray with a flour sack cape tied all around his head. He's still climbing on the garage, probably will be till he's dead. And all the while the people said he's acting like a kid. He did not know he could not fly, so he did. Now he's one of those